Welcome. I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up. I made this gorgeous fancy fold card with products from Stampin' Up. I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for you on my website, and you'll be able to click the links for the products that you would like to be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up. You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I'm using Butterfly Brilliance and Brilliant Wings dies. What? You haven't seen these in the catalog? These will be in the new annual catalog coming out in May. This is an early release, and it is wonderful. This is one single stamp. I've got it on my Stamparatus, which is like a giant stamping block. You can use the F block, or you could actually even just leave this stamp in the case and just stamp here on a flat table. And I want to show you that all of these little pieces I've seen used as maybe giraffe spots or leopard spots, like an animal print, so don't throw those away. And that stamp set coordinates with the Brilliant Wings dies, and you can cut them all out with one single die. There's also these detailed dies that cut separately, and there's also this like brick embossing and this herringbone embossing, these little dots, and a couple of little butterflies for you. We're going to be using the big one. There are no greetings on that stamp set, so I'm using Good Morning Magnolia for my greetings. I'm using Thinking of You, and The Journey of Life is best shared with a friend. We'll get through this together. I'm using Peony Gardens Designer Series paper, and I chose this one and this one. I have a piece of Petal Pink that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have a piece of gray granite that is 5 1/4 by 11. A piece of basic white that is 5 by 7 1/2, scored at 3 3/4. I have a piece of basic white that is 4 3/4 by 6. And then here's my Designer Series paper. I chose 2 different patterns. I'm going to do the opposite of this card for this sample. So I have strips that are 1 1/8. There's one that's 3 5/8, one that's 2 1/8, and then 8 that are 1 5/8. And then from the other pattern, these are 2 1/2, and I have one that is 3 5/8 and 2 that are 3 3/8. Again, I'll have all of these measurements on my website for you. And then I have a basic white envelope. My inks are basic gray, so saffron, petal pink, soft sea foam, and seaside spray. I'm going to be using the Taylor tag punch just to flag an end. You could use your snips. And I have a piece of basic white that's 4 3/4 by 6. This is what I'm going to do my stamping on. And we're going to want to do some sponging, and you can do that with the blending brush, with Stampin' Sponges, or with Sponge Daubers. It's totally up to you. I'm going to show you how to use the blending brush. And just if you want, you might want to use a piece of window sheet that is 6 by 7 and cut out with that die, and that will help you do some sponging and brushing. Let me start with what to do with this gray granite. Score it at 1 3/4. So this is the scoring blade, the light one. 1 3/4, 3 1/2, 5 1/4, and I need to open it up and square it at 7. And then we're going to be doing a fan fold. So let me go ahead and fold this, and I want to crease this really well. And then back this way, this way, and this way. And then we're going to be cutting between this crease and this crease. I saw this fancy fold done by Connie Stewart, and she cut this way. So at 1 1/4, and I'm going to turn this way so I can see it better. You can go from the creases. You can just cut from the creases. Let me make sure I'm still at 1 1/4. You're going to cut from 1 3/4, which was where that first crease is, to 5 1/4, which is where that second crease is. And then you're going to flip it over this way. But you can also fold this, still put it at 1 1/4, and just go to that first crease at 1 3/4 and cut. These cutters cut through 2 layers of cardstock really nicely. So then this goes like this, but I'm going to just pop this one out like that. Let me do that again for you. These stay down, this one pops up, and you pull it over. That's all there is for this fancy fold. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on my card base. This piece is just going to give it a border and also make it the right size for the envelope. And just give it a little extra pizzazz. And then we can set that aside. This is kind of a card base that goes on the inside. We're going to do our stamping in basic gray. And in the very top corner, I'm going to stamp Thinking of You. And on the inside, the journey of life is best shared with a friend. We'll get through this together. And then I'm bringing in my Stamparatus. And it's kind of nice to have a stamp set underneath to give support as you're inking this. And I'll go ahead and put my cardstock here. Now it's a little bit, it pretty much fills this piece. So I can put one at the very top. And then there's this big dip in here, so I can put that in here. And then ink my stamp. And press. And I see that I missed a little bit over here, so I'm going to be sure and get that inked up. And stamp again. One of the wonderful things about this Stamparatus. That's all the stamping that we're going to do. And then I'm going to just show you all the different ways of coloring this. Sometimes I go to the effort of looking up the actual colors of things. I'm not for this one, but I am going to use So Saffron on this butterfly for the front. And let me get my Sponge Daubers. By the way, I do have this case insert for the Sponge Daubers. I just print this out on paper and fold it in half and put it in here. So if I want So Saffron, I'm going to get that same position, and I always put the stamp side down so that this doesn't get inky. So I can go ahead and dauber this, and you want to kind of do a pouncy so that if your ink is still wet, it's not going to smear. And the sponge daubers give me a little bit more control over where the ink is going. And so if I want to keep the body of the butterflies black, that might be the best choice. I have 4 ink colors, and there are 6 butterflies, so I'm going to color 2 of them the same color. This is just stained, so I'm going to use Seaside Spray. I promise you it's not purple. But this is a good use for this template that I made. So if I'm going to color this butterfly, and I am having to work a little bit extra hard to pick up enough ink to ink my sponge. So that's what the sponge does, and I did have to kind of swirl that one. And then the blending brush, and again I've got that template in there. So that's the blending brush. Same ink, and that looks bluer somehow. And you can either just wipe this on a microfiber cloth to get most of the ink out, but honestly, I usually put this under the sink for a few minutes and it cleans right up. It may stain a little bit, and that's okay. Which one shall I make petal pink? Maybe this one? You don't really have to worry about whether you're going to go outside the boundaries because we're going to cut these out. So, no big deal. And I'll make the last one soft sea foam. You will use the large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and the day has finally arrived for my cut-up plate to be retired. My formerly clean plate is now my messy plate, and I have the 1 and the 2 and the 3 here, and my butterflies, my die, and I found this really pretty easy to get on there nicely. And roll it through. This will pop. Lots of things to be cutting. Popping is okay. And these literally fall right out. So now I just need to put my pieces together. So I'll put the white piece in. Could have done this earlier. And I wasn't thinking, this is actually Whisper White. I still had some Whisper White of the thick cardstock left. And I probably should have used the regular basic white thinner cardstock. We're just going to put the 8 little pieces. They will go here, 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 and across here too. It was tempting to have one big long strip, But if you do that at the folds, you'll run into problems. So to give the best way for it to work on the corners the best, it's really better to have separate pieces. The shorter one is going to go here, and we're going to flag that end. And I'm going to make sure that it's not too long. Nope, it'll be fine. If yours is a little bit too long, you can just snip this on this side a little bit. The longer one goes on the bottom. The longer one of the other designer series paper, the 2.5-inch strips, is going to go on this side. And we don't really want these to fold here in the middle, so these are going to go all in one panel. And these are also one panel. So when these pop out, they stay as one. And then I'm just going to fold, just gently fold each of the butterfly's wings. And then I want my big butterfly in the up here. And so I'm just putting the adhesive on this folded part. And it's kind of going up. I want to be sure that the wing does not go past the edge of the card. It can go past the edge of the Sahara sand, but it should not go past the edge of the petal pink. And I think I'm okay there. And we don't have to worry much about where this one's going. So it can go over here. And that will still be out. This one's a little trickier. We want to be sure that it doesn't go too far here or too far up and down. So I've got about 1/4 of an inch here. So if I put that here, it should be fine. Let me double check before the glue dries. Perfect. And we can put another one down here. Making sure that, oh, that one will show, so I want to be sure and move it down a little bit here. So maybe this way. That will be better. This one needs to stay below this separation, and it can be over here. So let's put that here. And I just want to double check, and that's great. And then we can put one on the inside too. So it looks super, super fancy, but the only thing that was really difficult was that 2 little cuts and a couple of folds, and that's it. Super simple, but super fancy, fancy fold. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free detailed directions and links for the products I used. Just click the links and you'll be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up. Also on my website, you'll find a shop button. Under shop, you'll find products from Bev, shopping strategies, frequent shopper points, a link to my online store at Stampin' Up. When you click products from Bev, you'll find information about sharing my current products notebook in Evernote, and taggers. I started making taggers when all of those layering shapes came out, and it was so hard for me to figure out which one I used and how to tell somebody else which one I used. So I made taggers. Each tagger has the name of the dies, the item number, how many in the set, and each tagger has the size of that shape. I also sell my cardstock sampler, fine tip glue pen replacement tips, and large and small reclosable bags that I use for designer series paper, both the 6x6 and the 12x12. And I have a link for my friend's bow maker. Under inspiration, you can scroll my projects, look at the latest post, find out about the basics, which I've designed especially for new stampers, and techie tips. Under getting organized, you'll find links to stamp case slips, product labels, large labels, case inserts, ink refill cases, lots of coloring tools, a stamp pad storage solution for practically no money, catalog tabs, a quick reference, and a wish list with the catalog index, directions for my basic toolkit to go and my compact desktop toolbox. I have so many people looking for my Evernote current products notebook that I have a new tab just for that. You can find out how to share my searchable catalog. You can go to SIP Together and you can find out how to join my team so that you can either save money or make money. Thank you for stopping by. Talk to you soon.